Hi, you're watching Joy in Our Town. I'm your host, Julie Haston. Right now we have Allison Carter, the director of the Cobb County Safety Village. And so our topic today is educating the youth about public safety. So thank you so much for coming today.
Oh, thank you for coming out to visit us.
Of course, yes. So I'm excited to learn all about the Cobb County Safety Village and the different public safety programs they have. But go ahead and tell us about what you guys are. What happens here?
Well, let me give you a little history about how we came to be here at this location. So in 1978, the state of Georgia mandated that so much fire and life prevention education needed to happen within our elementary school system. So at that time, Cobb County Fire said, we'll take on the education division, and they started going out to every first, third, and fifth grade classrooms in Cobb County. Well, as Cobb County started growing exponentially, we were spending a lot of county dollars going into the school systems, and we weren't reaching everybody because we just didn't have enough resources. So in '98, our county manager said, you know what, prevention education is the key, but let's see what other up-and-coming cities are doing and how are they being more effective at getting the education across. And so Chief Dillinger at the time, she put together a group and started researching and came across the Safety Village concept in Canada. There's 16 safety villages today in Canada, there's 14 in the United States, and the idea is that you bring everybody under one roof and not only teach what we have as state-mandated fire and life prevention education, but you can teach so much more. And it's all hands-on interactive teaching. So we put the children and our students into scenarios just like if you were at your home, if you were outside on a crosswalk, everything like that. We have trains in Cobb County, and so we have train safety. And so we put them all into those scenarios and then educate them on different safety precautions and prevention messages.
Okay, so who are the educators? Who's with the kids teaching them?
So we are very fortunate because we have 5 firefighters and 2 law enforcement that are on staff. There are full-time staff here at the Safety Village, and then we bring in off-duty firefighters and law enforcement to come in and help us instruct those students. So that was in 1998. In 2009, we opened up in the Safety Village. And that's when we got our 2 law enforcement. And so today, we educate every kindergartner, 2nd and 4th grader in Cobb County. We go out to every kindergarten classroom, and we have an instructor that teaches stop, drop, and roll, friendly firefighter, and some helmet safety. And then every 2nd and 4th grader in Cobb County, which includes Cobb County School District, the city of Marietta, all the private schools, and any home schools that we can find. So we have about 20,000 kids that come through, and they come in and they do 8 20-minute modules. So not only do we go through Sparky's house, which we're in right now, but we do everything from water safety, pool safety, we do some bullying, some latchkey programs, we do our electrical, bus, pedestrian. 4th grade gets to do rules of the road, so you get to see the motorized vehicles later. And then we do bike and helmet safety as well with our 2nd graders.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about where we are right now, Sparky's house.
Yes, so we are in Sparky's house. And so this is one of the permanent spots that both 2nd and 4th graders go through. And so when we have 2nd grade, so we have 2nd grade in this week. We were out at all those 2nd grade classes last week. So our instructors go out and they do a little bit of information with them so they know what they're going to be experiencing when they come here. They also have them do 2 pieces of homework. One is that they have to go home and create a home escape plan with their own families. So then they have the concept of what that means and what they need to be watching out for. The second is they have to count every smoke detector in their home. So if there is a home that does not have a smoke detector, we will send one home with the children after they leave. And so when 2nd grade comes in, we have preset fire hazards up in Smokey's living room. And so the students will sit around and they have to identify all the different fire hazards. So for instance, there's a blanket on the heater behind me. So the student will say, oh, blanket on the heater, and they'll go, okay, why don't you go fix it? So instead of the instructor going over there and removing it and not really understanding why, the student will go over, remove the heater or the blanket, and then they'll talk about why it could cause a fire. And then we'll talk about all the different materials, so aerosols and toys and plants that could be in front of a fire that could catch fire. Then we talk about why that could cause a fire hazard. And we go through all these different scenarios.
Okay.
And then once we go from that, then we go into Sparky's kitchen. And we talk about all the different safety problems that could happen in there. So we have a blender on top of the refrigerator. So if the cord is hanging down, making sure that they don't pull down on it because something heavy could fall on them. Different snacks, some of their favorite snacks that maybe the wrapper is not, is aluminum or tinfoil that cannot go into a microwave. So we talk about that. We talk about the toaster ovens. You know, instead of regular toasters that we used to have, they now have the toasters that are just get as hot as a regular oven. And so we talk to them about that making sure that they don't touch the glass and everything else because it's hot. And then we set up different different chemicals that can be found in a kitchen, and then also some of their favorite products. So we will have a cleaning product that looks like the same color as apple juice, same kind of containers, shape. So we talk about making sure that they read their labels, that they know exactly what it is that they're putting in their mouth. We also talk about medicines, different medicines that look like candy. You know, Red Hot looks like a Sudafed, so making sure they know exactly if it's just sitting out on the counter and they think it's one of their favorite candies, that we talk about making sure that they know that candy is not a medicine. And then we talk about making sure that pots and pans, that the handles are turned inward instead of hanging out, because your little siblings could go and wonder what mom and dad are making for dinner, and then they could pull down on it and something heavy and hot could fall on them. So we just try to make them aware of that. So again, putting them in a setting just like they are at their house, and going through all those safety features.
Definitely. So in the second half of this house, there's a bedroom.
There is.
And that shows sort of an escape plan, correct?
It is. It is. So we talk about a second evacuation. So in Sparky's living room, one of the last things that they do is an escape plan. So we talk about how they would escape out of the room, and then they go through the motions. So the lights go off, the alarm sounds, the smoke fills the room, and then they learn how to fall, find a wall, and crawl. So when we go to Sparky's bedroom, we talk about a second evacuation. So what do you do when you hear the alarm go off in your bed? Well, you're going to roll out of bed, you're going to find a wall and crawl, because a wall will always lead you to a door. And then our door is filled with water, so it heats up. So one of the things that we talk about is that once they get over to the door, that they touch it with the back of their hand at the bottom. Well, it's going to be warm, so it gives them that sensation. Instead of touching a cold door, you may not really get the full understanding. So it's warm. So now heat rises, so they go to the middle of the door and they touch it. They know it's warm. Fire's on the other side. How do I get out? So now we talk about second evacuation. We talk about different materials that can go out of their window, making sure they've practiced with their families prior to. But if for some reason they cannot get out of the window, then to throw toys or blankets or anything out of the window so that when firefighters arrive on the scene, that they'll know that they're underneath that window, and so to go and get them.
Wow.
And then we also have a ladder that is installed in ours. And so we say, if you do have a ladder that you've practiced with mom and dad, you know, how to properly put it on the window, and then we teach all the children how to properly escape out of a window, whether it's a first story or a second story. They all get to go out the window, and they think that's the best ever.
Oh, wow, wow.
So, and then once they're outside, and they meet at their family meeting spot, so for us it's the tree, and then they do a 911 call into one of our educators. So then they know all the questions and all the answers that they need. So they know their address, they know who all is, if anyone is still inside, making sure they don't go back inside to get their pets or any of their favorite stuffed animals, and then they go through all of those motions as well.
Wow. So in the state of Georgia, are public safety programs mandated for each school and their students to go through?
There is, but it's not mandated as to what and how much you have to teach. So we've kept the curriculum of home escape plans, friendly firefighter, stop, drop, and roll, those kind of things. And we've kept that, and we've just expanded, because now we bring them under one roof. We have more time to be with them.
Wow, wow. And this
Yeah.
Cobb County Safety Village, this is only open to Cobb County students, correct?
That is.
Okay.
Cobb County is the second largest education system in the state of Georgia. So by the time that we get 20,000 kids through here during the school season, I only have 5 days that we don't have students here. And those 5 days are set aside for any weather concerns that come up in the winter months. And so we're able to move them through.
Oh, wow. So in the summer, it is open to the public.
Yes. So we get calls all the time from summer camps and people outside of our county that want to come in and see what we do. And so we, about 3 years ago, started our Family Fun Safety Days, and we invite about 10 of our public safety vehicles, so the kids get to see what BOM does, and SWAT and K-9, and they get to get on the engines and get to play with them and see what all they do. And then we have all of our sponsors come in, and they talk about different safety messages that they have. And then we open up Sparky's bedroom and living room, but instead of the 20-minute module that our regular students get, we knock it down to 10 because we never know of the age groups that come in. But we do. We open it up. We have different arts and crafts, all different safety messages that they get to learn about. So it's a fun time.
Oh, wow. And so this Safety Village is the only one in the state of Georgia.
It is.
Wow.
It is.
Wow.
Yes, we're very fortunate. We sit on 8 acres, and what's beautiful about where we are is that we're smack dab in the middle of the county, so we're not on any far end for any of our schools to come. We do not charge for our schools to come for the education, but we do depend on the school systems to budget for transportation. So as any school budgets that get cut, field trips are always the first to go, so we don't try to call ourselves a field trip, although we are the best one in town. But we do still teach the state mandated education. We're just able to teach so much more that the teachers and faculty are glad that we are able to do.
Definitely. Why would you say it's important for the kids to learn hands-on about public safety?
I think it's like anything that you do for the first time. If you don't, you can hear it and you can see it, but until you actually physically do it, I don't think that you get the true understanding, especially when you're talking about safety messages. So for us to be able to put the students and our other community people in a setting like it was their own and go through the motions and they hear the lights go off and they hear the sounds and they see the smoke fill the room, until they actually physically get to do that, I think that's when they truly remember, whether it's 10 years down the road that you're in that situation when they're off to college and they hear the alarm go off in the dorm room or what have you, that they've been through that experience and they'd be able to recur and take that information.
Wow. Yeah. So what are some of the other programs that you have? And just to kind of quickly scan over those.
Yes. So in the summer, besides our Family Fun Days, we also started 3 years ago our adult senior program. So we have about 400 to 500 adult seniors that come in, and we also go through a home escape plan because most of them are in a different living situation. So we talk about that. But the big thing with our adult seniors are slips and falls and kitchen safety. So we really focus on that with them. And then also they get to do a fire extinguisher training because most people haven't extinguished a fire extinguisher ever. I know I haven't, and hope I don't have to anytime, but we go through that with them, and so they go through that setting as well.
Wow. So tell me how the Cobb Safety Village is really, doing community inclusion and the stuff that they do.
Right. Well, when they were deciding to bring the Safety Village to Cobb County, one of the great things that they did was that they put together a task force. It included both our school systems, Cobb and City of Marietta. It included business leaders and partners within our Cobb, and then also some of our public safety officials and government officials. So they all worked together to go and visit other safety villages, find out best practices, what they would do differently, and then took all that knowledge and came back and really spent several years to design what our Cobb County Safety Village would look like.
Wonderful. So thank you so much for explaining.
Thank you for coming out.
Of course, of course. This is a wonderful facility and where kids can really learn about public safety and necessary things that they need to know, in emergency situations. This has been Allison Carter, the director of the Cobb County Safety Village. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more joy in our town.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
We're back with Joy in our town. We were just inside Sparky's house at the Cobb County Safety Village, and now we're outside in the little town area. And our topic today is the different public safety programs they have for children and senior adults. And right now we're with Allison Carter, the director. So thanks for having us back.
Oh, welcome. Well, I'm glad you got to see outside because this is where the magic happens.
Yeah, so take us through some of the different programs because it's not just storefronts that are out here. You go inside, and that's where the interactive learning experience begins, right?
It sure is. It sure is. Well, so again, the idea behind the Safety Village is that you're creating a town. Every Safety Village is a little different in the size and the number of buildings. But again, you're creating the town so we can educate our students on pedestrian safety. We have a bus and we talk to the second graders about the danger zone that's around and showing them what that looks like and what the bus drivers see when they're inside of the stop arm. Fourth grade, we talk about if you're on the bus and you have an accident, what are the 3 ways to exit out and evacuate out of the bus? So we educate them on them. We have trains in Cobb County, so we educate our students on train safety and when they're in the cars, what the lines mean to be so far back and why that's important. But then also, if they're walking in downtown Marietta or in Kennesaw, that they know how far back they need to be. Don't throw things at the train that it's going to bounce back at them. So we educate on that. But again, what is unique about our facility than any others is that we do have interactive buildings. Most of the safety villages, they have a building, a partner's name on it, but then you don't walk into them. You're just creating the town. And our partners kind of took it to the next level. And so we have some of our interactive buildings you can go into, and we educate our students on health messages, staying healthy, how long the 20 seconds is to wash their hands. Another partner, we talk about electrical safety, what's the path of electricity and how electricity is generated. But then we also show them 12 electrical hazards, and we talk about if you stick something in the outlet, what's going to happen. And so we talk to them about that. And that is one thing that's great about having police and firefighters as our instructors, because most of them have been out on a call when these things happen. And so they kind of share some of these stories with our students. So it kind of it sinks in a little bit more than seeing it again with just talking and not really having a story behind it. And then we also educate on, crude oil from down below and how does it turn into gasoline and get to your gas station. But the big thing with that is with our 4th graders is call before you dig and 811, making sure that they don't put a shovel to the ground until they call and find out where are their utilities and where is the electrical lines and cables, so they don't have a injury out just trying to put in a new tree or a fence line. So those are just some of the interactive ones that we do. But we also have our pool area, so we educate our students on pool safety and lake safety because we're surrounded by lakes here in Cobb. So those are just a few of the programs that we provide.
Wonderful. Well, I'd like to start off talking about the pedestrian program because right now we're in the middle of the town center.
Yes.
And you can see the working stoplights and everything. So what are the instructors teaching our kids about pedestrian safety?
So we teach them when they get to the crosswalk how they need to be looking both ways. The big thing is that we're losing some of our students now because they're texting. Nobody's paying attention. They just think now that we're in a crosswalk that everybody else is supposed to know that. And so then they hear the buzzer start going that it's okay to go, and then they're still texting and not paying attention. So we really focus on that with them. Make sure don't just look left and right, but you look all around you to see who's coming. Is it cars? Is it motorcycles? Is it bikes? So we educate on that with them. And then we also have a lot of our blind and deaf community that come in because everything is working out here. It's all ADA compliant. And so they're in a safe environment to be able to work with new service dogs or to be able to be in a safe and understand how it is to move around a city and in a town and be safe.
Yes. So with the senior adult education, how does that come into play here outside?
So we are trying to increase our programs for them because they all want to come outside and do something. So again, we educate them on pedestrian safety. One of the things that we work with them on is fire extinguishers and how to activate one. And so we'll set up a fire that is contained and then they all get to utilize the fire extinguisher and do that. But one of the programs that we're really working on to include out here is our internet safety programs. I think it's duly important that we educate, if only our 4th graders, if nothing but security settings and passwords, and how to set those up. Because on a smart device, you may have 5 security questions, but if you go onto an actual laptop or a computer, there's 25. So being able to set that up first and then go onto your mobile device, and you'll be much safer on the internet. But then also with our senior adults, it's the fastest white-collar crime growing in Cobb County today is identity theft and fraud in our older adults. And so being able to get them on a device and show them where they can go to set up security settings and what does a password mean and what's a secure password. So being able to educate them on that is just critical.
Definitely. So I'd love for you to take us through about the different sections out here and how those play into really creating, the interactive, memorable experience that the children have learning about public safety.
Sure thing. Well, our village is kind of broken up into 4 sections. So as you see, we're in downtown Marietta right now. This whole back area that looks like the village is run by a nonprofit foundation. So I don't have any county funds that go to this area. So it takes a little bit longer to build up and find the partners to come in and create our buildings or our different structures, so then we can bring in interactive safety messages. So we're in downtown Marietta, which is where we learn about train, bus, and our health messages. But then also when you go over to the industrial section, we have our electrical and our gasoline. Then we have a residential section, so we're going to work on having interactive. We have a latchkey program that we do with 4th grade. So I'd love to be able to have a residential home that you can go into, and we can preset hazards, like we preset fire hazards in Sparky's house. We preset hazards inside our residential home for our latchkey program.
Wonderful. So in the industrial section, what are some of the lessons that they learn there?
So in our industrial section, we learn about our electrical safety. So we go through our 12 electrical hazards, but then also the path of electricity and how it's generated. One of the new partners that just came on inserted a solar array. So now we're talking about solar energy and how it's stored and what you can utilize with solar energy versus electrical and electricity, and what does that mean. So we're educating on that. But then also in one of our other buildings, we're talking about gasoline, proper storage containers for gasoline, and call before you dig.
Wonderful. So, and over there is a little green box. Tell
Yes.
us about that.
Yes,
Yeah.
so we have a lot of displays set up that are not active, if you will. And so as the instructors are coming by, they talk about, okay, so who has a big green box in their front yard? Half the class raises their hand. They go, what do you use it for? And they go, third base. And we go, no, no, no. Because most people have not seen the inside of what the big electrical box is. But it's just like a big transformer that was up ground. Now this is underground. So all those volts of electricity are right there. And the big thing with that is that rodents get in there and chew away the protective coating. And then you have live wires. So as anybody is stretching on it or playing on it or what have you, it could easily move into one of those live wires, and we want to be able to educate our students on that. We also have an electrical substation. So we talk about if you live near one and your ball goes in over the fence, or your kite or your frisbee, don't go get it. Ask mom and dad for a new one. Don't go into the substation.
Right. So, and then right next door to that is Kennesaw Mountain.
Yes.
What are some of the things that you go over there?
So one of the big things when they were designing our safety villages, they added elements of Marietta, and so we had a partner come in, and we have a mini Kennesaw Mountain, if you will, and it's just a replica of our community and what we have. We have another partner that did an outdoor amphitheater, and so it's a take on the Mabel House, and we utilize it out there. So again, we're just bringing in elements of Marietta that we have partners that support us on that.
Wonderful. So right next door to that would be the residential area.
That's correct.
Along with water safety.
That's it.
What are some of the lessons there?
So we teach the students about just being safe, how far the depth they need to before they jump into the water. But the big thing is proper life vest. So next to our pool safety, we actually have an area that's made out of turf that looks like a lake. We just had a sponsor come on. We're going to build a dock. We're going to talk to the kids about how to properly put on a life vest. Where do they need to put their hands on the boat when they're getting in? But the big thing is also in our area is our droughts. So being able to show them how to watch water levels. Just because every weekend they go out on the same dock and jump off, one weekend it could be full, and then the next weekend we've had a drought and it's down low, and they need to be able to be aware and look for those kind of things.
Right, right. So inside the houses, are there any interactive things that go on there yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
We've had a partner that's come on and that's built the structure. Then I'm working with other partners to come on to add components to that.
Right. So what are some of the new initiatives and new lessons that you're trying to bring to the Cobb County Safety Village?
One of the big things is right now that's first on my radar is our internet safety. The second thing is healthy choices and eating properly. It's a big initiative in our schools, is to give healthy choices to our students. So I'd love to have a partner come on to build a facility that we can then educate on proper food handling, proper storage of different foods, but then also healthy choices. You know, obesity is a huge problem with our students. They say 1 out of 3 students are overweight in our school systems here in the state of Georgia. And so being able to educate on that is huge.
Definitely.
Another initiative is sports-related injuries and concussions. So I'd love to have an outdoor area where we can educate our students on if they were to get hit or tackled or what have you, what is it going to feel like to have a concussion? Because most of the times they feel like, oh, I'm ready to get back in the game, and so is everybody else ready for them. but to be able to educate our students on what they're going to be experiencing, also our coaches and also our parents. So we're not putting these students back into a situation that's going to create even more damage for them. So that's a huge initiative, and also just other sports-related injuries with regards to proper helmets. With our second graders, we educate on helmet safety, but then also bike safety. And every sport needs a helmet, and they're all different, and they're all differently shaped. And so just being able to educate on them and showing them what that looks like.
Yeah. So we all talked about the hands-on experience, but what are the real benefits of the students learning from a public safety seminar that they can really dig into?
I think it's like anything else. I think it is when you and I talking, I could talk to you about electrical safety and you're somehow thinking about this big green box, but until you see it, until I show it to you, until you can really understand what's in it, I think that's really the big thing that's important, is being able to educate on that.
So tell us about the car seat safety that goes on here.
Oh yes, what a great service that's provided for Cobb County. So Safe Kids of Cobb County is housed here at our facility, and they're here to provide car seat inspections for any of our Cobb County residents, and it's a free service that they provide. So you can bring any car seat in, whether it be an infant up to your 7-year-old. Come in, have it properly. They'll properly go over all the safety features with you, and then they'll make sure it's properly installed, because honestly 8 out of 10 car seats are installed improperly, and 9 out of 10 people feel like they have installed it properly. So it's just a great service. It's free. You can go online and make a reservation and then come right in to the Safety Village and have some proper technician take a look at it.
Wonderful. So a person really teaches the parents, not just shows them, but lets them try it themselves.
Yes, exactly. They'll take it out and go over all the safety features, then they'll properly install it, then they'll take it out again, and then the parent has to then install it properly, so they know exactly how to properly install it into any vehicle.
Wonderful. So thank you so much, Allison, for letting us come out.
I can't thank you enough for coming and seeing what all we do here at the Safety Village.
Of course. You've been watching Joy in Our Town. We're at the Cobb County Safety Village, and we'll see you next time.